welcome to Korean Cinema Today, the podcast of the Korean Film Council. Here in Seoul, this is your host, Pierce Conran, and I'm going to be talking to you today about what's going on in the world of Korean film. Korean Cinema Today is a new podcast from the Korean Film Council. It is part of KOBIZ, which is the online portion of KOFIC. If you want to check out the latest news, features, lots of great interviews, and more for Korean film, make sure to check out our website, which is koreanfilm.or.kr, and sign up to our webzine, our newsletter, and of course tune in again to the podcast. Find us also on Twitter at twitter.com/KoreanFilmBiz, that's B-I-Z, or on Facebook at facebook.com/kobiz.kofic, that's KOBIZ.KOFIC. I'm your host, Pierce Conran, a reporter for the Korean Film Council and Korean correspondent for twitchfilm.com and the founder of modernkoreancinema.com. A little later today, we'll have the pleasure of inviting the filmmakers of AMISS, a new expat production made in Korea by foreigners, into the studio. We'll have a chat to them a little bit later, but first, let's have a look at a little rundown of the news in Korean film. The 15th Jeonju International Film Festival is almost upon us. It'll be starting on May 1st, and just last week they had their official press conference to launch the program for their 15th edition. The opening film will be Mad, Sad, Bad, which is a 3D omnibus film, which has films by Han Ji-sung, Kim Tae-young, and Ri Sung-wan. Also, there will be the Korean lineup the competition was already announced, but there will also be some new films in the CinemaScape section, including a new film by Lee Sang-woo, who was our guest here on the podcast just a few weeks ago, and Kim Hyung-mok, his new film Futureless Things. Hangongju, the very popular independent film which premiered at the Busan International Film Festival last year, just keeps on winning awards. Its latest prize comes from the Fribourg International Film Festival, a well-regarded festival in Switzerland. It picked up the Regard d'Or, which is the top prize, and that prize is worth 30,000 francs, which is something like $33,000. That's a big cash prize, and another award for the film, which previously picked up top prizes in the Marrakesh and Rotterdam International Film Festivals, not to mention a trio of awards from the Deauville Asian Film Festival and a pair from Busan when it debuted last October. Speaking of awards, the Wildflower Film Awards were held their inaugural edition also last week. This is a new award ceremony celebrating the works of independent Korean cinema. The venture comes from Darcy Packett, noted Korean film critic and frequent guest here on the podcast. So they launched their first awards in Seoul last week. Picking up the top prize was Omyeol's Jisul. The film also won in the cinematography category. Yeon Sang-ho won Best Director for his new film, The Fake. His new animation has been very popular on the festival circuits. Best Documentary went to Jang Ryo's Scenery, while the acting prizes went to Nam Yeon-woo for Fatal, that's in the male category, and Best Actress was Jung Eun-chae for Hong Sang-soo's Nobody's Daughter Haewon. Fatal also won an award for its director, Lee Dong-koo, who picked up a prize for Best New Director. The K-pop star Lee-jun from the band M Black was awarded Best Newcomer, so that's Best New Actor. And finally, the documentary jury prize went to the film City Hall. There are a few new films on the way. We have Lee Hae-jun, the director of the very popular Castaway on the Moon, or should I say it became popular. It wasn't so popular on its release. His new film, My Dictator, started shooting a week or two ago. It'll star Sol Kyung-gu and Park Hae-il, and this is a comedy about an actor who in the 1970s who ends up posing as the North Korean dictator, or doubling for him, shall I say. Also coming up soon will be the new Lee Joo-nik film. This is the filmmaker of The King and the Clown, who most recently made last year's Wish. He will be making the film Sabu, which will star Song Kang-ho. Now, of course, Song Kang-ho is red hot at the box office. Last year, he starred in no less than 3 big hits, those being Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer, as well as Han Jae-rim's The Face Reader and The Attorney, all those very, very big hits. Also in casting news, Lee Byung-hun has 2 new films coming. One of those, a big Hollywood release. He has picked up a role in the new Terminator film titled Terminator Genesis, and he will also be in the new film, Korean film Intruders, which will come from the director Woo Min-ho, the director of The Spies and Man of Vendetta. Looking at the box office, to the top of the charts these days is the new Captain America film, Captain America the Winter Soldier, which has now crossed 2.6 million admissions as of last weekend. That's after 2 weeks in theaters. The film is doing very well. It's done a lot better than the first film, and of course, being one of the many Marvel films, they seem to be doing better and better these days. And who can forget, of course, that Captain America himself is in Korea these days shooting for the new Avengers film. Coming at number 2 was the new Kevin Costner thriller 3 Days to Kill, while the biblical epic Noah is now fell to number 3 and has almost picked up 2 million admissions. The highest Korean release lately was the drama Elegant Lies, which is accrued 1.5 million admissions and is slowly on its way out of theaters. Coming in at number 5 was the new Wes Anderson film, The Grand Budapest Hotel, which has scored almost 500,000 admissions. And for a film, and more modestly budgeted film, foreign film, that is quite an impressive result. Next up, our interview with the filmmakers of AMISS. Today we are joined by the filmmakers of the new independent film AMISS. We have the co-director, William Sonbuchner, also the cinematographer on the film, and we have the producer, Aurelien Laine. So welcome, guys. Pleasure to have you in the studio with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Good to be here.
All right, so first off, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your film is about?
Okay.
Well, Aurelien, I thought you could give like a really nice, tight synopsis of the film, because I've done it so many times now.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the way I describe it is very simple. A girl dies, and her father is chasing 3 people and trying to find out what happened. And that's pretty much what it is.
Just to expand on that a little bit, it's like she's committed suicide, and he feels like somebody's pushed her to have done that. And he captures her ex-boyfriend, her therapist, and one of the kids from her class who she didn't know directly. And from there, the father interrogates them. It's like a kind of a flashback style movie where they go back into a specific week in her life and see who interacted with her in such a way that may have pushed her over the edge.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we have here is a revenge film, and you've made a revenge film in Korea, and obviously revenge cinema is a huge thing here. Was that a conscious decision at all?
It's a really interesting genre, and it's always, I think, easy to make it like lively, and as long as you have a good motive there. So the very first day we met to try to come up with ideas for a film, this is the idea that sprung up immediately, and it's something that we can all grasp onto, and so it was easy to just go with it, because the idea of like that father's revenge was such a strong motivator that it just worked, and we knew it would be compelling.
Okay, and so when you say we, what was the initial team that came together to do this?
Initially, Raul had the idea. Raul, the co-director, producer for
this
AMISS.
is Raul Dissel, right?
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Dissel,
sorry.
And no worries. He had the idea for this about 2 years ago. He called me one night and he said, I have an idea for something I want to call the 4-man feature, where us and 2 other filmmakers were going to get together. We would each like write, direct, do cinematography, and something else for each part of the film, like rotate essentially.
And kind of like an omnibus format, or a little more mixed up than that.
Just kind of I don't know how to explain it well. What, an omnibus?
Yeah.
So essentially, like, we all write a piece. Now I'm doing this visually with my hand. This is great. We all write a piece, and then we all kind of switch roles, and we all direct someone else's piece. Then we all switch, and we all edit someone else's piece. So we all have some hand in someone's part, but that didn't end up happening anyway. So what happened is us 4 got together. So also Young-Won Jo and Edward Burgos at that first meeting, and we came up with this concept, and we started writing. And everybody was responsible for writing one character. So there's the father, and the other 3 characters I described that he captured. And the central character, Anna, we just agreed on kind of every component of her because all of our characters had to interact with her. So from that point on, we would meet every week and bring the script a little bit further, give each other notes. And at one point, the other 2 had to drop off the project because it was a lot more long-term than we thought it might be at first. In the beginning, we were thinking everyone's just going to pitch in like $500. In 2 or 3 months, we'll shoot it for a couple weeks, and we'll be done. But it kind of snowballed, and the more we got into it, the more seriously we took it, and it kind of grew. And so when Edward and Young-Woon had to drop out, it was just me and Raul, and all these previous limitations we had set on ourselves regarding budget, regarding story. Originally, we told each other, like, you can only write 2 locations per character, or things like that. You can't have extravagant props, like, because we need to be able to try to shoot all this stuff and shoot it quickly. So we're just like, screw that. We're going to do whatever we want to. We're going to add characters. We added a henchman. We added locations, and anything we thought within reason that we could do to make the movie more interesting. And from there, that's where we finalized the script between Raul and I.
Okay. And so what was the character that you were responsible for?
I wrote Chopin
Okay.
Park, the stranger student in Anna's class.
Okay, so and that makes sense. So you were just telling me you voice act his kind of his friend as much in the film.
Bromine 800. Yeah. So it was interesting because nobody really acted it with him while we shot it, or maybe someone just was in the corner reading the lines. So I got to cut together Chopin's parts and then kind of ad-lib a little bit the parts that I did.
All right, sounds great. And so, Aurelien, how did you get involved in this film?
I came a little bit later, towards the end of production. So when the film moved from production to post-production, to me, in general, that's one of the most dangerous time in filmmaking, because you have all this energy and all this joy of filming. So it can be a difficult process, but that's where the boom is. That's when you go and watch the fireworks. It's basically production. And after that, it's very easy for people to just let go and wait for something to happen, or maybe being so tired that they want to hold off a little bit. And I had a conversation with Raul one night, and he did say that at this point he felt a little bit exhausted. So I just give a little push. That's where I came in.
All right. So here we have AMISS, which is I guess we would call it an expat film in Korea. I don't know. How do you feel about that kind of a label?
We're expats and we made it, so I'm cool with that.
Okay, then. So, but of course, that must have come with some enormous challenges.
Yeah, totally. Do you want to hear about some?
Of course.
We faced a lot of the same challenges that any filmmaker faces. I'm trying to think of, I don't know if there's so many that we faced just because we happen to be in Korea, because we had a ton of, like, we have Korean staff and Korean people interested in the project who helped us along the way with everything. So even translation or having to speak to people about locations wasn't a huge obstacle. It was just all within the normal realm of filmmaking. Some of the hardest parts were, I'll give you a couple examples. We had some actors drop out here and there. And for one part, we had a professor. He had a medical condition come up. He had to leave. And it was just a couple weeks before we were going to film those scenes. So we held an open audition. And about the third or fifth person to walk in was Lee Sol-gu, who acted in I Saw the Devil. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, sure.
So that's the movie with that, like, really epic taxi scene. Do you remember the scene in the taxi?
Yeah, the swirling around.
Everyone's stabbing each other. That's he's the driver, and if you remember, he gives a really distinctive kind of stare over to the main antagonist, and he did kind of a similar look in AMISS per Raul's direction, and so that's something that could have been a huge obstacle, but it turned out awesome. Like it worked even better to be able to work with him and have him come aboard our project. A couple other things, like dealing with locations. we couldn't always afford permits, like at the airport, for example. Sometimes we would just have to go and shoot and try to be clandestine if we could, and have people watch out for security and that kind of thing, because getting a permit at like Incheon International Airport is like really expensive.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Per hour, yeah. So for some places, it just made a lot more sense to just roll up and shoot, and we're just using mainly DSLR cameras, so it worked to do so. Another issue we had was in our warehouse. It was in a popular location that a lot of photographers go, and so everyone has access to it. People go there, but I guess you're not supposed to. And we tried to find someone to get permission from, but we couldn't find anybody. So we just decided to shoot there.
And this is kind of the location for the linking scenes with the four main characters.
Yep, and yeah, this is where the main like interrogation takes place.
So this is probably your biggest location.
Absolutely. And we did 4 days there total. We're shooting there on a Saturday and a Sunday. On the Saturday, while we're shooting, just barreling through our scenes, getting a lot of stuff done, the security guard, which we didn't even know there was a security guard for that area, and this is kind of a bit outside of Seoul, comes in and he sees like 10 crew people and like craft services, like food laid out, and camera equipment, and he's like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing here? You obviously can't be here. And it was tough because Raul and I are a bit stubborn, and we're the type of people who always ask, like, how do we make this work? Like, what do we have to do to make this work? Instead of like, can we shoot here? It's like, how can we shoot here? And we wanted to really be able to speak to the guy ourselves, but our two actors, Jung-gi and Alan Choi, were just like, look, just let us talk to him. We're going to see what we can do. And we just let them speak to the guard. We held back, and he came back and he's like, look, the guard said we can shoot for 6 more hours. And I was like, 6 hours? That's amazing. So we finish out that day. The thing is, we have to shoot one more day there, and we haven't told the guard that. So the next day, we come in thinking that it's a Sunday. Who's going to be working on a Sunday, being a guard? And again, he rolls up like, honestly, what's going on here? And with the help of Alan and Jung-gi, they somehow pulled it off. And it was really scary because we have no choice but to get these scenes. We have 1 day left in this warehouse. We've already spent 3 days shooting. We don't have any more like budget to put into it or time or another location. We just have to do it. And somehow it all came together.
Good. Very glad it did.
Yeah.
One of the many hairy situations on a film set.
Yeah, absolutely. And film, just a quick note, like that's what filmmaking is. It's like problem solving, because things are always going to come up. And as long as you can kind of keep your stuff together, and keep your mind together and find a way through it, then you'll be all right.
Sure, you need to be very flexible, maybe is a good word for it.
Yeah.
But a lot of no amount of pre-production can prevent you from kind of encountering problems on a set.
Right, exactly.
So just to build up on the expat experience, the thing that you'll find is in film all over the world, you've got several levels of filmmaking. So you have the top Hollywood stuff, you have the people just starting, and you have a big range in between. And that big range in between, when you're local, you can just go to a commission and talk to them, or go to a local government agency, talk to them and say, here's what I'm trying to do. And if you're local, they'll help you somehow. But being an expat, that middle range is not interesting for commission, because they have their side for the locals that they take care of, and then they have their side for the big budget that actually brings money to the country.
Right. So you approached I'm sure the Seoul Film Commission about this?
No, I don't think you did.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, no, because through several different projects, it was made clear that we are not interesting enough yet as an expat community.
And that must have been frustrating.
It's the game. It's the game. The day we get interesting and we have the credentials and we have the strengths of script that makes it no other way than for them to help, and they don't, then it's frustrating. But right now, it's clear we're not at the level that they would expect for helping out.
All right.
And that's fair enough.
Indeed. And so a significant part of the film is in Korean. So did that pose a challenge? How good is your Korean or Raul's Korean?
My Korean is great for ordering food or taking a taxi, things like that. No, my Korean is okay. It's not good enough to direct a scene completely in Korean and know, like, oh yeah, we nailed it. Like, for the initial translation, everything was written in English first, and I guess the best thing we had was just some insight from having lived here for a few years each. Like, so some cultural things we knew about we could put into the script and think, like, I think this is how it would go from what we've experienced in this country. And then for the actual translation, we had people helping us in the beginning with that, and then on set, it was really a group effort between the directors and cast members and people there who were Korean who could kind of sign off on it.
Okay.
But yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a challenge, and sometimes I felt a little bit more in the dark than I would like.
Sure.
And I think maybe in the future I would even try, if with a movie with this much like Korean dialogue, try to find a Korean director who I can really trust and kind of sync with
for those scenes
to help with those
right.
scenes. Yeah.
So when you shot those, kind of like, there's a number of scenes, particularly between the father and the daughter, just completely in Korean, and so you're directing those. Did you kind of is it a combination of kind of feeling that it's going right, and that other people on the set who are fluent in Korean felt that it went well?
So we can always direct emotion, and we always know like where they are in the script, and we heard it a lot of times. So it's just a Korean person might say like, oh, actually they wouldn't say that word quite this way, or that sentence should flow a little bit more like this, just in a kind of syntax way.
Okay.
But we were still directing kind of the flow of emotion throughout the scenes.
Right. And now that the film has screened for some people, how have the reactions been, particularly from locals, for concerning those scenes?
We've had really positive responses overall, and I think maybe here and there people have pointed out, like, for example, our actress is Korean American, and so like maybe her accent isn't always like a Korean person, but also in the script her character grew up in the States for half her life, so it suits her character, even though for someone listening it might sound like, oh, that's not quite like 100% authentic Korean, but we made it make sense because we knew that going in.
All right.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about both of your background in filmmaking prior to this?
Yeah, go ahead, Aurelien.
When my film really started in 2007, I opened a small film company in New Zealand, and that's where I started first with short films, and then moving here, as we talked a little bit earlier, that company I just closed the company in New Zealand, and now it's a Korean company. And since I've been here, I've been mainly working with Expat, with very small participations on the Korean scene. And it's been so AMISS last year and beginning of this year was the biggest work for me in terms of production, but then also producing a documentary about Korea. And now, as we talked a little bit earlier, just bringing in a TV series, so aiming at adapting foreign content into Korean content here for Korean cable TV.
Okay, sounds very busy. How about yourself?
I started working with video in high school, and that's where I discovered I kind of had a knack for it and for editing. And then it was a long time until I got back to it. And in between, I did a lot of audio stuff, and I worked at a radio station. But it wasn't until I was in Korea that I kind of re-sparked that interest that I had in film and video. And I kind of trained myself in Korea, and this became like my film school. Like I started small with short like comedy videos or music videos, and with each video I did, I would try to learn a new skill. Like this time I'm going to use this kind of microphone. This time I'm going to use a jib and figure out how that works, and trying to add some element so that I was continuously learning and then also getting feedback. A couple years ago I started the Seoul Filmmakers Workshop, which is a monthly event that still is going on now, which could be found on Facebook if you look up like Seoul Filmmakers Workshop. And from there, the reason I started it was because I wanted like good critical feedback, and I wanted others to be able to get that too, and to be able to grow and get better. So over years in Korea, I really developed as a filmmaker, a director, cinematography, etc. And for the last couple of years, I've been working with a production company. Right now, I'm working with a production company called Expat Media, and we are working on all kinds of projects like music videos and documentaries and commercials. So it's been kind of a long path to get to where I am now.
All right. And so what brought you guys to Korea?
Initially for me, here's what it was. I was at a radio station and I went to a bigger market to apply for a job as the evening DJ, the coveted evening top 40 DJ spot, and I didn't get it. And I was like, radio is kind of becoming obsolete anyways. This is, I don't like it that much. I feel like I'm getting burnt out already after just doing it a few years. And so I just wanted to do something completely different. I talked to my sister about some ideas, and she talked about going abroad, going to China. I looked at like the Czech Republic and all these different areas, and then ended up deciding on Korea.
Very good. And yourself?
For me, it was really simple. Actually, in New Zealand is a very popular destination for like Korean youngsters who want to learn English in the English system, because it's close and it's quite cheap to live there. And I was actually practicing a lot of Komdo at the time, so big Korean community, and just spending time with Korean friends. I just said, okay, I got to see what's happening over there, and just came over here.
Very good.
Yeah.
So your film is both in English and in Korean. It's got Korean characters, American characters, Korean American characters. Are you looking for both an audience for like Western viewers and local viewers?
We definitely wanted something that was kind of global, that could be taken in from relatable, and that could be taken in anywhere. And so that didn't have too many like overbearing Korean elements where if somebody saw, like, they wouldn't make any sense of it somewhere else. So, but we still wanted Korean people to be interested and want to see it as well. So we want both. We want it all.
That's a good way to have it. Now, Expat Films again. There's quite a few things going on at the moment in Korea. I've noticed. There's another one. Hey, Bangchon, the movie. We both live there. And there's another one. I've forgotten. It's
Mongolian Princess.
What's that?
Mongolian Princess.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Okay, that's another one that shot recently.
Another expat feature.
Yeah.
Wow, and I know there's another one as well. Something about a horror film about a surgeon or something. Under the Knife, maybe?
Under the Knife.
Yeah,
that's an old one though. I think they're finished, like they're releasing it or something. But yeah, it's quite an old one.
Yeah, he shot that a while ago.
There's another one called Night Squad as well.
Wow, so there's quite a lot. So can you guys account for this kind of recent burst in expat filmmaking in Korea?
I think it comes from something that helped inspire me to become a filmmaker, which was initially when I was working on these projects. I didn't think as large of a film as feature films ever until I went to my buddy Nick Calder, or Nick Neon, was filming Fear Eats a Soul, which is a feature-length zombie film that takes place in Seoul. And so seeing what he was doing and that you can just do it if you want to, and just knowing that it's possible made it possible for me. And these days, like with technology being cheaper, it's easier to rent gear. And just, I think anytime you see people around you doing something and it seems possible, then people start to do it.
Yeah, and it's just, everything is a growth. Like, I think everything really started 3-4 years ago with Nick's film. There was this and the 24 Hours as well, 24 Hours Film Festival, 48 Hours, sorry, 48 Hours Film Festival here in Seoul. And that's where people actually found out that there were other filmmakers who can work well in English and also in the same filmmaking style. So that really started the initial seeds, and then like everything, it just grew. Once people understand that there are people they can work with, and then they have ideas to just put that together. And it would be sad that there's not that many actually today. It's good to see that people take the chance to just keep going up. So today, like I mean, within the last 3 or 4 years, there was maybe 1 or 2 film going on. But it's good to know that now, through those few years, we have 4, 5, 6 going on.
Yeah, and a lot of escalation going on. And so it is still a small community. Do you guys kind of all work together on each other's films? Do you guys know each other well?
There's become a lot of like subgroups, which is really cool. Like I said, I host the Seoul Filmmakers Workshop where people come and watch each other's work and critique and network. And Aurelien's doing a bunch of stuff right now.
Yeah, actually, building up on the Filmmakers Workshop, I wanted to do something that can reach out to something even larger. So I created the International Filmmakers Guild of Korea. The thing that was great with the workshop is that it brought everybody together in the same area. I found that in Korea, you've got people all around Korea who would like to have a link together. Would like to have probably some English education because film is lifelong learning, so have some English education and stuff. So there's actually a lot of talented people, but a lot of those people are isolated in different places depending on work and who they think they can work with, which is not always easy when you don't know anyone. So yeah, there's been a lot of this building up and reaching out and bringing talented people together. Because when you come to Korea, you rely on what you have, and when what you have is your talent, then you're going to use it. So you'll find people going in and working with Arirang. You'll find people going in and working with Kofik. You'll find people just going here and there because they have to rely on what they know and what they can do. So the aim is really to bring all these people together and get some high quality work going.
Okay.
So yeah.
And so what is the potential of expat filmmaking in Korea? What do you think is kind of the peak that an expat film could reach?
I don't see any limit.
There's
like
no limit.
The limit is the amount of money you can get.
Yeah.
I think we all of us have to really bring both skills and quality of work up because it's just the nature of the beast. You can never be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have some quality content you can work with, then it's all going to be about the money. If you have enough money, you can just do anything.
I think it's BS when people say, we're foreigners, they're not going to like let us get a movie in a theater or something. I've just heard different excuses like that. And I think the truth is if you, I don't know, money talks. If you make something that people are going to want to see and pay money for, then it's going to get into theaters. And so I don't really see any limitations. Like the limitations are maybe you need to fit within, if you're trying to be successful in Korea or get a theatrical release in Korea, you need to fit within the parameters of what Korean people think is interesting, which is kind of an obvious thing.
Yeah. And I guess there's a lot of the independent scene in Korea is very vibrant, especially these days. A lot of great things are being made, but it's already, even for them, for locals, a really difficult environment. There's you may know the kind of the exhibition system in Korea. I mean, there's this vertically integrated system where companies, they make their films, they distribute them, and then they exhibit them. So they have complete control. You know, it's like the production code in Hollywood in the 1930s. So it's already very, very difficult for independent films to get, into like 2 or 3 art house theaters with, 0 viewers. They'll be lucky if they get 5,000 viewers over the course of a 3-week run.
Yeah.
So that already poses a challenge. But for an expat film, presumably that challenge would be even greater. How do you think? How do you go about getting your film into like a theatrical distribution?
That's what we're looking into now. But first of all, I think it can also be a strength. Like there's what do they call it when there's like an element of like a music video or something that's edgy? It's issue maker. So, I mean, the issue maker is some interesting element of a project that could make people want to go see it, and even like a foreigner directing Korean people, I think could be an interesting element. So I don't think it's always not in our favor necessarily. Regarding distribution, that's something that we're looking into right now. Like full force is, we have a couple of odds and ends in post-production to wrap up, and then trying to see what we can do with the film. And the process for that is, I don't know, go meet distributors, have people watch the film.
And the truth is, it's easy when you have films in a specific language, like for example Korean, to feel like you have to fit in a box, meaning you're gonna be able to distribute only here. But this is a film that has elements in English, elements in Korean. It would be amazing to see the film here. It would be really great if we have a producer, a distributor who comes and say, okay, we'll give you 2, 3, 4, 1,000 theaters or 1,000 screens. That would be great. But if it does not happen, the world is bigger than Korea, and this film we already have a chance to distribute in South Africa.
Oh, very good.
Nothing says that we couldn't get a couple of theaters in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no limit to the horizon, really. It's if you put yourself in a box and say we can do it only here, sure, it's going to be super challenging. But as independent filmmakers, we have to be flexible no matter what. So
Absolutely.
It includes distribution too.
Also, distribution these days is far greater than movie theaters. There's like pay-per-view, there's Netflix, there's the movies you see on an airplane, like tons of stuff online. So it's really almost endless the amount of ways you can market and distribute.
Yeah, that's arguably where all the money is anyway, especially for independent films. I mean, It's not as if an independent film will go into a theater, into 7 theaters, screen to a few thousand people and make any money. All that money will be lost anyway through marketing costs. So you really, it's like online streaming, legal downloads, all that stuff, which is quite prevalent in Korea these days. That seems to be the way to make money. Are you guys looking at a festival platform at all?
Yeah. Well, as Sonny said, it's really a question of tightening up everything now, and the film making sure that we're confident it doesn't need to be changed at all. And after that, there'll be a few festivals submissions.
All right, sounds great. So you guys are kind of wrapping up on this film. There's still a long way to go in terms of distributing and releasing it. But have you given any thought to any subsequent projects?
My main focus right now is on the company Expat Media that I'm working with with my partner Oro, and trying to push that as far as it can go. And then once it's become more profitable, getting more into some personal projects and original content. We have a documentary idea in mind and some other things, but nothing specific that I can really talk about right now.
Okay. And you have, of course, your documentary working on a TV show and a few other things.
Well, to me, the most important is to find. There was a few things that I wanted to put together, and these days everything seems to be falling into place. So the documentary is about finishing it now and getting everything done. The TV series is about launching it, and then now I'm starting working on a feature for probably next year.
What's your documentary about again?
It's the generation. Not the generation gap, but the different generation of people in Korea. So it's just talking about, we let people talk about their own country, basically.
Okay.
So
cool.
Very good. So one final question I have to ask. What are some of your favorite local films, favorite Korean films?
I haven't seen a ton. I really like, kind of the classics like Old Boy and I Saw the Devil. They're really gripping and visceral and kind of over the top, and I like that. And they both have that kind of revenge theme, which I like too. But I really want to get out there and watch more Korean films myself.
I like. It's gonna sound very box officey, but the one that really I enjoyed the most was actually Ajeshi. It sounds very Hollywoody when you think about it, but what I loved about it is that there was the Hollywood style action with the Korean style acting. And I think it worked really well. The main actor in that film really did a fantastic job at keeping his emotion inside while still showing that something was going on in his head. Yeah. So that I liked. And then last year, Chilbon Bangge Samul was good.
Miracle in Cell Number 7.
Yeah, that was quite good. I liked it.
All right, very good. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you guys this afternoon.
Great to be here.
Thank you very much for coming, and best of luck with the release of your film. We hope to see it in theaters soon.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
This week's Korean Film in Focus, I wanted to talk about the new film Tinker Ticker. Tinker Ticker is a graduation project from the Korean Academy of Film Arts. They've been making, this is from their 6th class, 6th advanced class. Every year over the last 6 years, a select group of students have had the opportunity to make feature films for CAFA. And this is one of the 5 films from the 6th class. Other films included Ingtugi, The Battle of the Internet Trolls, which was released last year. And the other films are Guardian, which is coming out and released this week, and The Legacy, which will be out next week. Now, Tinker Ticker is a very interesting film. Personally, I would say it's probably the best of the bunch there. The film follows a young man who is sent to a juvenile reform institute after he makes a handmade explosive while in high school, and as a young adult, he toils away as a professor's assistant in a university, and he's very dissatisfied with his life, and he is trying to interview for a better job. All the while, he is still making homemade bombs, but he's too scared, of course, to detonate them himself, knowing that what could fall back on him. So he sends them anonymously to people who he hopes will use them. One of those people is a student at the university that he works at, a kind of a delinquent character who discovers his identity, and they kind of form an unlikely and kind of tenuous alliance. It's a very, very strong debut, as we can expect from CAFA. CAFA previously had feature films such as End of Animal and Bleak Nights, or last year's When Winter Screams and Your Time Is Up. And Ticker Ticker has typically strong production values, and of course it's being backed by CJ Entertainment, as all these films are, so that's why it's getting a decent limited release here in Korea. So that's our Korean film in focus this week. Great new film from CAFA, and there will be more, of course, this year. There's another animation coming out later this year called Crimson Whale, and of course there will be all of next year's 7th advanced program graduation works. So that's it this week for Korean Cinema Today. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed our discussion with the filmmakers of AMISS and our little exploration of what's going on in the scene for expat filmmakers in Korea. Make sure to find us on iTunes and visit us again at koreanfilm.or.kr. That's it for this week, and please tune in again next time.